Hey viewers, so this is my first Photoshop tutorial. Isn't that exciting? Probably gonna be a lot of problems with it because I've never taught anything. But I know Photoshop pretty well. I won't know everything, but I'll show you the tools that I use quite often. The version of Photoshop I'm using in this will be Adobe Photoshop CS6, but most of the techniques, at least for this video, should work up to at least CS4. What I'm going to shoot today is something I use quite often when I need a little fix or just something like a quick result, maybe. Something like that. I call them layer styles, but apparently when I right click on it, it's actually called blending options. But then the box comes open and says layer styles. Like, come on. Of course, it does say blend options and the smaller font below it, but come on. It's layer style. Or whatever. I got some colors here. Each one's a little different. And I can't cover every different thing, but these are the most common ones I can think of. So basically, this one has a bit of opacity taken away from it. So if I took like the white away, you can kind of see through it. So you see the squares behind it. This yellow one, as you can tell, it was in effect, it's solid, but I did it the same way as this one where I just kind of swirled around. So it has some gaps. And then obviously this is a perfect clean circle. I didn't draw that one because I can't draw a perfect circle for my life, but I use the shape tool and then yeah, it's there. So basically what I'm going to show you is, like I said, some blending options. If you didn't see that, because I keep going really quick, you just right click on the layer that you want to use it on and then click the very first one, blending options. Another option you can do, which works in this version, is double click on it and bang, blending options. And be sure, I don't know, you can do it either on the image or off the image, like a little off the side. Blending option still comes up. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of the top ones I use quite often. Drop shadow. It's quite useful. Can make it go a really far distance. Can change the opacity. You can change the size so it gets really fuzzy. Or spread it out. However, spread really looks ugly, so I don't usually use it too often. That's my personal choice though. And then you have this option also, like use global light. If I turn that off, I can then choose anywhere I want to be for just this layer. However, to give you a quick example of what I'm talking about, I put those there. I can make another one. And how I did that, just quickly, is I took the image, I just dragged it down into this little thing that looks like a piece of paper with a little fold in it, and dropped it, and it makes another copy. I think there's an option here where you can duplicate it, but that's just the way I do it, so I can't really confirm that one. Sorry. But if you do want to know, I can probably answer it in a comment down below. So, as for drop shadow, okay. As for drop shadow, if I use global light, it looks like I'm just again changing it. But this is what I want my global light to be. I want the logo down to the right. And I want this one to do the same thing. But I don't want to try and guess the number or whatever, and I want it to just be exactly the same as every other shadow. So I just use global light and they'll all point the same way. And that's what will happen. But as soon as you have it checked off, it'll act like this one on the left where it doesn't affect it at all. It's its own custom light. See? So global light is important if you want everything to go the same direction, and some things not. As for this contour, I can honestly say I don't really use that, but it gives some effects. But again, I don't really touch it too much. Okay, outer glow. Oh wait, let me undo. To undo, at least for me on a Mac, I use Command Alt Z. But on a PC, it should be Control Alt Z. I've used both versions, but it's always quite a while since I used the one and the other. So, but since I've been so more adept at the Mac, I may get my controls a little mixed up. So if something doesn't work because I give some wrong command, again, ask me and I'll correct that. So drop shadow, got outer glow, and we need a black background. Didn't realize that. So I just made a new layer. It's that paper button again. The paper was the folder thing. Just press it, new layer, bam. So outer glow. So basically, it's what it basically sounds like. It will give it a glow. There we go. So yeah, it'll make your objects glow with color. Got some blend options here that will just change them, but generally it's good to keep it on screen. And then you can change the opacity again if it's too bright. I seem to be lagging a bit here, but bang, can make it more precise. But I like softer because it looks nicer. And then you can change the contour here, which I have used, and it makes your glow look a little bit more different. Can give some cool effects if you find the right one. Like I like this one a little bit. It's all up to your preference for that one. So yeah, that's, oh, one more thing. I guess if you want to change the color, you can change, you just click this little white box, or it's really just a color swatch button. You can change the color of your glow. Now, doesn't that change the mood? Yeah, lame. And then you can also have like a gradient for one. So, multicolor. Doesn't look as pretty though. You can pretty much easily do that with a gradient yourself. But if you want to be pretty precise, this can do the job for you. Got pattern overlay. One I don't really use, I guess, that often, but you can put a pattern over everything. So like, if you've seen some of those cartoons where there's like a guy wearing a plaid shirt, and you know, the plaid shirt never changes, stays the same pattern. Here's a way of doing that. Oh wait, before I go any further, you can actually upload your own pattern if you want to. So that's an option. Got gradient, so everything will be in a gradient. Can give a nice effect for other things, not really for this, but at the same time, it's again your preference. You find what you want to use it for. And this thing uses the angle as well. However, it doesn't look like it uses global options, so it won't be affected by by anything that's by global. You can make each one individual, which means you might want to save the number when you change if you want to do multiple ones. And then scale just makes the whatever the middle range a lot closer. So we can almost hide that one shape already. or completely make it more white. Got some blend options here, so you can choose all these. Again, I prefer to stay as normal, but you can do like multiply. That one actually isn't too bad because, at least for black, it gives it like a kind of like a shadow on it. But other colors give different effects, so multiply won't always do that. But I'll get into like blend modes a little bit later if you want me to, because they're kind of fun to use too. Color overlay. Yeah, I can't speak much. Basically, it just changes whatever color, just makes that one fill a complete solid color. Doesn't matter if you already had an outline in that drawing or what, it will just make it that color. So if you need like a silhouette, this is one way of doing it. And again, just change opacity so then your original colors can kind of show or not. This one I have never used. I'm sure it's useful for something, but I can't tell you what. Inner glow, it's going to be basically a glow inwards. So it's basically like the drop shadow sort of. You can change the size again, make it glow more inside there. Change color, make it a gradient color. Change your blend modes. It gets kind of repetitive after a while. Same goes with inner shadow. It's pretty much about the same thing. Got your size, and it just glows more inside. However, if I wanted to make this also a glow, which you can do, bang, just change the blend mode to normal, make it white. Got the same thing as a glow. Or any other color, I shouldn't just say white. Anyways, you don't need to do that though, because it has it in your glow, so. But make sure that stays on multiply, probably, because it's probably the better option for it. Again, experiment. That's the best I can say, because that's how I learned most of this stuff. I didn't really get taught it much in school or anywhere else. All of this has been basically, oh, what does this do? For stroke, it just basically gives you an outline that you can put around your image. I do use this one quite a bit, depending on what it is. Because sometimes I'm surprised it hasn't showed you here. But like if the outline is very thin, it can look kind of ugly, like something around here, because then you got these little tiny ones here. And it's just not good. But you can also make it a gradient. So if you want your fill to have some sort of interesting value to it, it can. And even a pattern. Well, you know. I generally say with color though. And then you can do it either inside, so it's going to take up more of the object. Because the circle is more fuller, it will affect it better. But as you can tell from like the one that has gaps in it, it's a little bit not so great. And then the one that's like kind of transparent, it won't do anything. Because it's too opaque, the opacity is too weak to actually give it a solid outline to the inside. So basically that outline or stroke is just one giant color over that whole thing right now. And Citrus does about the same thing to each one of those. So if you do use outline, it's better on solid objects, not things like this. Outside isn't so bad, but it's still my preference is not to use it too much for these two. And then you got Bevel, which don't use too much either, but you can make things like stick out more. To me, it looks kind of ugly, but there have been some good uses for it. But as you can tell, if you do use it, more preferably the smoother objects. Like this one isn't too bad, but if you have something, again, with gaps, it just looks kind of messy. However, you could probably play around with this and it could look like a blob of paint. But yeah, you got different effects for different things. Don't know what these would do. Yeah, you got texture. Well, I do know what texture does. Basically, it's basically those patterns, the default patterns, and you can just like make them into like some kind of texture feeling type thing, which is actually pretty cool. That one's actually not too bad. But because I only have the default ones, there's not much options. I haven't used the texture option too often yet, but I have used it in a few drawings in the past. And that is most of the layer styles. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to show. Class isn't dismissed yet. Basically, you can put like, if you have one that you like, you have options that you like using quite often. Like, let's say I want to use stroke like this all the time, and a gradient all the time, and a texture maybe. Basically now I could click this new style and call it my fave, or whatever you want to call it. Click OK. And then right above this thing that says blend options default, if you go to styles, you can then choose different styles of basic options that you've played around in here and get them instantly. So got lots of things you can play around with. I used to use a lot of these in the past and then found out they actually weren't all that fantastic. But at the same time, I might have been just using them wrong. Some of these are kind of cool. So it's all a preference of what you think might be good and how much you should use of it. Like I think if you click on it, you can then go back to blend options and then change it a bit to your liking. So it's something to just play around with. So it would be something kind of useful. And I hope you did find it useful. But that is all I'm going to probably show. If you have any other questions that you may want to know about, anything I didn't answer, something you just questioned about what I did, or if I went too fast, which I might have, definitely leave a comment down below, and I will definitely try my best to answer it and get a quick response. Because Photoshop isn't really that scary. Quite fun sometimes. I shouldn't say sometimes, it is a great program to use. But other than that, I can some possible suggestions if anybody wants me to try is I could use some stuff about the paint brushes, like all these guys, which ones I use, or which ones I prefer, or how to make your own custom brush, or how to change like this shape dynamics that I had that wasn't turned on right away, or like you can scatter and all kinds of cool, wacky, weird stuff. So let me know down below, and till then, thank you for watching this first tutorial video by me. I hope it was enjoyable and easy to understand. That'll be it. Till then, I'll catch you viewers later.